So Hunter, Jade, and Maverick went to walk 4 blocks to the neighbor's house for their first kind of like free range impromptu play date, right? The plan
Yeah.
was for them to just go knock on their door. We gave them our little Apple AirTags as watches, and I was like creepily but fondly watching them walk away, right?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
it was a very it was a rite of passage for you and for them, right? To watch them
Absolutely. For
walk
both of us, right?
to watch them walk into the distance 6 blocks away or whatever
I
it
know you would have thought that they were going to college or something, but I did it. And I think we were both so proud of ourselves.
and then we're standing in the house by ourselves and we're like, this is great.
Like, what do we do? Right. But about an hour and a half later, we went to pick them up. And it turns out that they did find their friends and they started having a play date. But then another neighbor was having a party and there were a ton of kids there when we walked in, right?
Yep.
It was the most idyllic scene. The kids were like swinging from the trees and climbing over fences. It was truly for me what dreams are made of when
Yeah.
it comes to this outdoor childhood. But Hunter came up to us right away and was like, Mom, Dad, I cannot find Maverick. I don't know where he is.
Hmm.
And at first we were like, oh, there are like 17 kids here.
Yeah.
He's probably mixed in. We were saying hi to our neighbors. But pretty quickly, it became very clear that he wasn't
He
there.
was not there.
And I was like, Greg, check the tracker.
And I checked and he was a good 6 blocks away.
Yeah, which was shocking, right?
Yeah. And not towards our house. So he had wandered.
Indeed. And so at that point, you jumped in the golf cart.
Yes. I jumped in the golf cart and I went to the spot where the AirTag watch that he was wearing said that he was, and he wasn't there. And I was like, okay. And so I'm just driving slowly looking for my son or for anybody that might have seen him. And a car comes the other way and rolls down the window. And it's like a black SUV. And it's like, are you looking for a little boy? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, okay, thank goodness we have him here. So they pull over. I pull over. Maverick comes out of their car. It was a very nice family. Thank goodness. And I said, what happened? And they said, we just saw him by himself walking. And he was clearly didn't know where he was and he was crying.
Mm-hmm.
And, I gave Maverick a big hug. I put him in the golf cart. I came to get you and the girls at our friend's house. And we all went home, but not before I turned to the girls. And I was a little harsh with them. I said, Neufeld stick together. This is not what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't let our little brother get lost and end up in a stranger's car
Yeah.
after 15 minutes. This is the first time that anything like this has happened. So I didn't really know what to do, what to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is where we come back to what we decided after that and how we would have asked the girls to act in that situation had they been able to play the tape back and do it again.
Yeah. And so when we did get home, we did some damage control, I guess. I like to call it a retrospective or
Yeah.
a postmortem on like WTF, like what actually happened here. Because what we realized is that I was thinking about the walk there, right? I
Yeah.
assumed that once they got to the street where all the little kids play, they were going to be safe. They were going to be able to look out for each other.
Yep.
But that's not what actually happened. And so what I've realized is that we cannot assume that we will be able to think through every scenario, right? And like we thought them being in a group was going to mean that they were safe. But we hadn't talked through what happens if they get invited to a party impromptu,
Yep.
right? And the environment gets chaotic. And what actually ended up happening with Hunter is that she knew pretty quickly that Maverick was gone. And she was very distressed. She was trying to do the right thing and find him, but she didn't feel comfortable asking the host of the party, who she knows well, but who didn't invite her there, to ask for help.
Yep.
And so she and her other friend went and looked for him. So, I'm glad that we took the opportunity to unpack what went right and what didn't go so well, because we very quickly at first were like, you didn't do your job by using good judgment, by
Yeah.
taking care of your brother.
Yeah.
But that's actually not what was happening at all. It was just that she didn't really know how to, like, what mattered most.
No.
And so, when we got home, so what we learned later was that Maverick had decided, in the way that Maverick often does, that he didn't feel like being at the party. He
Yeah.
wanted to go back to his friend's house where they had Star Wars toys.
And a train.
And so he asked Hunter to put his shoes on and then promptly left because he thought that he could find his way to that house.
Yep.
Right? And he had told us later that he wasn't even really scared. He was just sad because he knew he was going to get in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
which I think, considering what happened, he didn't get in too much trouble.
Yeah.
But, we took some time as a family after this experience, and we got out the whiteboard and we made a list of the things that went well and did not go well. And I think it was really important to do this because a lot of things went well. First of all, our fail-safes worked.
Yep.
Our trackers went well. We were able to find him quickly. People are genuinely kind.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to walk independently to the house. So those were some really good things.
Mm-hmm.
When we started to unpack what didn't go well, obviously we spoke with Maverick about making sure that you tell someone before you leave somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But for Hunter, this really wasn't a failure of being a noble Neufeld. It wasn't a failure of character. If anything, she was so incredibly devastated because she does see herself as Maverick's protector.
Yeah.
It was a failure of orientation. In that moment, safety and finding Maverick mattered more than politeness. And finding Maverick wasn't hers to solve alone.
Yeah.
So if she had been armed with our 2 questions, what matters most here? And is this mine to decide, or do I need to ask for help? I want to believe things would have gone differently.
Me too.
So we realized that we've needed to move beyond telling our kids to use good judgment. And this is our first pass, right? These 2 questions are our initial way of talking to our kids about how to orient and decide, because they're going to be making more decisions without us.
Yeah.
Right? So now that we've been armed with this heuristic, we've been using it in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
And another one that just came up this past week is that the girls are starting to walk home from school. And this is a baby step process where it's I do it, then we do it, then you do it, right? I used to take you home from school. Now we will do it together, and eventually you will do it alone. And so step 1 has been, okay, I'm not going to pick you up in the car line. You're going to do a walking dismissal, and I'll meet you 500 feet from dismissal at the front of the church stairs. And so a couple of days ago in the morning, I asked Jade, I said, Jade, if you were to be on the church stairs today after school and a dinosaur were to come and try to eat you, is it more important to run back to safety or to stay on the stairs because that's what you agreed with mommy? And what'd she say?
I would stay on the stairs.
Because that's what you told me to do.
That's what you told me to do.
And I'm so glad that we had this conversation because she really thought, and this is very Jade-like, that if mommy tells me to do something, I have to do it at all costs. So I said, actually, that's not right. Safety matters more than sticking to the plan. And I promise you that choosing safety will never get you in trouble. And this is your decision to decide. You need to trust your instincts. And if something feels unsafe to you, you retreat to safety. And I promise to never, ever get mad at you for that.